You feel good when you have wool and something beautiful next to you, and it was a great way to be part of a community project which encompasses the history, craft and bringing people together, and it just feels good to be involved with that.
After talking to Annette Carmichael about the idea to have a project about the story of wool, I guess I immediately sort of could think of a number of contemporary artists who work with wool and with woolen mill blankets, and as well as groups who work with wool. So it was really just starting to have conversations with those people to see what they could contribute to the exhibition.
Doing this project, it brought together so many different groups of the community, so from shearers to spinners and knitters, people whose grandparents used to work at the woolen mills and they came and told us their story, and yes, it reached a huge part of the Albany community.
You know, one of the projects that the Camera Club came up with was to actually go and photograph shearers.
We were going up to Nyabing to do an exhibition, so we thought we can integrate those two together. So that's how we got the pictures from the shearing sheds
and for me, when the group went up to Nyabing, I'd gone up to the farm and I'd arrived there when they were shearing, and I worked away and created a whole lot of images, and when of course this all came up, it was just fabulous.
And that then touched on this whole other area that we wanted to reflect in the exhibition, which was the role of Noongar shearers in the wool industry. And there's, you know, a very long history of Noongar men and women being involved in shearing.
I personally was responsible for getting the community stations up and running, and then putting all of those bits together and making this huge big scarf. So we were here on the weekend having tea and bickies and hanging out with all the ladies and knitting.
In Albany, there's such a strong history of connection to the Albany woolen mills that people who work in a contemporary art practice often refer back to that part of the community's heritage. And it was really important to me from the beginning that we were able to include contemporary art, because it is just an expression. Like, another aspect of the history of wool here in Albany that I was aware of but didn't know a whole lot of is the designers who live here but have an international market for their knitted garment designs.
And they're very impressed with everything in it. You know, there's no one picks anything out in particular. They're quite amazed at our photographs up there just because of the size. I think that, you know, they weren't expecting anything as big, but when they look at that work and up in the ceilings and everything, it's really amazing stuff there.
I just think the history of all of the different people that have been involved, and when you look at the history of this building in Albany and the story of wool, it all blends in together.